Hello learners, welcome to this video lesson. Today we are going to discuss another topic, that is education as a process of socialization. Before starting our discussion, let me to introduce myself. I Dr. Niradhar De, Associate Professor, School of Education, Indira Gandhi National Open University. Welcome you all to this video lesson. Friends, as you know, presently we are in the 10th module of your course. You know that the course that we are discussing, the course code is BESC 131 and title of the course is Education, Concept, Nature and Perspectives. And in this course, presently we are in the 10th module. The title of 10th module is Education and Socialization. Friends, in this module you will find three important lessons are there. First is education as a process of socialization, that we are going to discuss in this session. And second, agencies of socialization, that is family as an agency, school as an agency, community as an agency, media as an agency and peer group as an agency. So, these are the certain agencies of education for for developing socialization or for making the child socialized. So, that we will discuss in our next session. And the third important lesson is factors influencing socialization of the child. What are the different factors that influence for the process of socialization of the child? Now, let us focus upon our first lesson, that is education as a process of socialization. Friends, before starting our discussion, let me to focus upon some of the learning outcomes. They are, after going through this video lesson and at the same time after going through the part content which is given in your self learning material, you will be able to comprehend the meaning and process of socialization. You will be able to explain the concept of education as a process of socialization, and further you will be able to discuss the function of education acts for socializing the child. Friends, I am very much hopeful that after going through this video lesson and the part content, definitely you will achieve these learning outcomes. Now, let us try to understand that what is the definition of the process of socialization. Okay. So, what is the process of socialization mean? Friends, if I will say, socialization can be defined as the process whereby the child gradually becomes a self-aware, knowledgeable person, skilled in the ways of the culture into which she or he is born. Try to understand. The process of socialization, it makes the individual child aware about one's society, aware about one's community, aware about the culture that we practice in the community where the child lives in. And the other important concept or definition or meaning of the process of socialization, that it creates the knowledgeable person. Knowledgeable person means the person who is well acquainted with the diversified nature of the society, the practices of the society, the cultural you can say norms, standards, rules and regulations of the society, then accordingly how the person acts, accordingly how the person practice these values, practice these societal things. And further, the another meaning of the process of socialization, that we can say it also helps the child skilled in the ways of the culture into which he or she is born. So, in the culture, this is the power of the culture, that the culture helps the child, helps the individual to earn, to acquire certain skills, to live in the society, to practice certain occupation. So, that is why when we talk about the process of socialization, it is not all about practicing the values, rather it is all about preparing a holistic man, preparing a complete person. Okay. and the person will get the knowledge, get the skills, they will aware about their living, they will aware about the society, the culture and other practices what is going on in the society. Further, we can say that so far as the definition of the process of socialization is concerned, we can say without the process of socialization or without socialization, an individual would not act like a human being. So that's why it is the society. We can say that family is a miniature of the society, and it may be family, it may be the society that helps the individual child from the very beginning or from the early years of life, that they make socialize the child. Otherwise, you know that the human child is born taking the animal tendencies. So if you will not nurture them, if you will not teach them the right values, if you will not socialize them, then they will exhibit the animal tendencies. So that's why it is the society, it is the process of socialization that it changes the animal tendency of the individual into or to the social tendency. Okay. And further, if I will focus upon some of the important functions of the social institutions. Friends, when we talk about society, you will find that society is itself an institution, or in the society you will find that many subsystems are there. Just like we can say that school is a subsystem of the society, school is a miniature of the society. You can take the example of library, you can take the example of club, where group of people you can say they live together, they do certain activity together, okay, with certain common values, with certain common beliefs. So that's why you can take any example of the social institutions. You will find that these are the certain standard functions of any social institution. It may be educational institution, it may be institution related to law and order, it may be institutions related to our economic life, it may be institution relating to our political living. Okay. So that's why the functions of social institutions are just like it regulates our economic life first. First of all, every individual exhibits themselves or practice themselves certain economic life. They have to earn the bread and butter. They have to maintain their life in this society. So that's why social institutions teach us or to regulate our economic life. Further, it also regulates our political life. We have our political belief, we have our political understanding, we have our political ideas and ideologies. So that's why social institutions helps us to regulate and to make us understand about the political values and about our political life being a part of the society. Further, it also regulates our educational life. Friends, we get education, or we can say that family as the first school for the child, and further the society is the second school of the child, and further we can say when the child enter in the formal schooling, that means the school, there they get formal education. So that's why it may be family as an institution, it may be society and community and different integrated part of the community as social institutions, they also provide education. So acquisition may be formal, informal or non-formal. So many understanding, many experiences we gain, we acquire from the informal system of education, maybe from the family or maybe from the society, and formal education that we gain, that we acquire from the formal institution, just like schools, colleges and universities. So that's why we can say that this is another function of the social institution, is to regulate our educational life. It educates us, it makes us to achieve, you can say to achieve the economic standard, to achieve the political understanding, and at the same time to achieve, to understand about, you can say the educational living of the human child. And further, It also regulates our religious and spiritual life. Try to understand every individual practices certain religion, certain values, and certain spiritual belief also, certain spiritual life also. So that's why social institutions also helps us to provide certain understanding about our religious practices, at the same time our spiritual living, and it also regulates our familial life. I have already said that family is the miniature of the society. So that's why it also, social institution also helps us that how to regulate our family life, how to live in our family with a sense of cooperation, with a proper understanding. And further, I was just talking earlier the informal, formal and non-formal education system. So here, how education helps us in the process of socialization. If I will focus upon education, I can say that we get education from 3 different systems, okay, or we can say that from 3 different modes. So one, we can say that the informal education system, then the second is the formal education system, and the third is the non-formal education system. Friends, let us start our discussion to understand the informal system of education. Informal system of education, that means the knowledge and experiences that we gain at our family, at the society, at the community, when we come contact with different people, when we come contact with different social groups, when we visit, when we move from one place to other place, okay, and when we come contact with the people from different background, from different areas, from different demographic areas, from different culture, from different society, from different language practices. So that's why informal education that we gain from the family, when we come contact with the family members, then further when we come contact with the societal members, okay, and informal education helps us or helps the child to make them socialize, and it also nurture the child, it also groom the child to proceed in a right direction. Further, the formal education system, that means we can say just like the school, colleges and the universities, the formal educational institutions, that also helps the child for achieving the process of socialization or to make them socialize. Just like formal educational institute educate and socialize the child, it educate the child so far as the curriculum courses are concerned, so far as life skill is concerned, so far as acquisition of requisite skills and competencies are concerned, and at the same time it also socialize the child, how the child live in a group, because in a school you will find that many activities, demonstrations and things, or in the teaching learning process, the things that are conducted, you will find that mostly the child react or the child act within a group. So that's why when they participate in the group, when they act in the group, definitely they develop a type of social living, a type of spirit of group living. So that's why formal education, it educates the child and it also socializes the child. Further, formal education also develops the child in its complete sense. So friends, when I am focusing upon the complete sense, I am just giving stress for the physical development of the child, for the intellectual or the mental development of the child, for the social development of the child, for the emotional development of the child, for the development of their creativity, and at the same time for the development of spirit also, or we can say for the spiritual development also. So that's why formal education helps the child for their complete development. And the other form of education, the other system of education that also helps the individual for achieving or for being socialized in the society, that's called as the non-formal system of education. Non-formal system of education is also called as alternate system of education. Friends, many a time only formal system of education is not enough. Mostly when the child or when the individual enter in the job field in a certain profession, so it is not possible to again practice the formal education system. So that's why for you can say for acquiring more skills, the more requisite skills so far as or to cope them with the changing need of the society, to cope them with the development of the society so far as science and technology is concerned, they are supposed to go for the alternative system of education, okay, just like you can say the non-formal system of education. So from there the child grow as per their own abilities, as per their own creativity, as per their own interest, okay. So that's why education here, the three system of education, it may be informal, it may be formal, or it may be non-formal system of education, that also helps the individual child to socialize them. And further we can say that the role of education for the process of socialization, just like what education does, education develop cooperation among the mind of the child, among the behavior, among you can say among the behavior of the child. Education helps the child for developing good habits. Further, it also helps the child for developing friendshipness, and it also helps the child for developing the spirit of group living. I was talking earlier that so far as the formal system of school is concerned, that the child act or the child function or the child participate in a group, okay. So that's why group living, achieving group living is also another important concept of for achieving socialization, and that is because of the involvement of education, because of the contribution of education. And further, education also teaches us values, and values is you can say values is one of the integrated part to be oneself socialized. And further, acceptance, the spirit of acceptance, the attitude of acceptance that we earn, that we you can say acquire from education, which is an inclusive part of the process of socialization. And further we can say education provides us knowledge, provides us understanding, it also provides us to apply that knowledge in different new situations, and it also helps the individual child to analyze the things, to synthesize the things, and to critically discuss the things. So that's why for the process of socialization, education contributes to provide you can say such knowledge, such understanding, such application, analysis, at the same time skills and competencies also, because for maintaining you can say a self-sufficiency life and economic life, the individual child, they should earn skills and competencies, requisite skills and competencies through education, and that is very much helpful to make oneself socialized. And further, education helps for developing attitude, developing values, developing culture, to understand the culture, to transmit the culture, to develop the culture, and further to bring change and mobility in the society. So that's why all these things that I am saying, that is because of education, and ultimately it leads the child for the process of socialization. And further, to focus upon the very process of socialization, I can say that socialization cannot take place in a vacuum. So there is a system that contributes and that socializes the child. It may be the formal system, it may be the informal system, or it may be the non-formal system. So it never happens haphazardly. In the informal system, your parents, it may be your mother, it may be your father, it may be the senior member of the family, they nurture you, they help you to grow, okay, and ultimately you become socialized. In the school, your teacher nurture you, your teacher help you to understand you can say curriculum and its practices, and that further help you to be a socialized individual. And further, individuals, groups and institutions create the social context for socialization to take place. I have already discussed. It is through different agencies that we learn and incorporate the values and norms of our life. Different agencies that we can focus upon: home as an agency, school as an agency, community as an agency, media as an agency, state and peer group are also agencies. So these agencies are also helps to make the individual child socialize and further acquaint the child about social structure with respect to class, race and gender. So how to understand this society? In our society you will find different diversities are there, different class. It may be in terms of class, it may be in terms of race, in terms of gender, in terms of our other practices. So in the process of socialization, the human child come across to understand such diversities, and we know that we consider all these diversities as our strength, not as the weaknesses. And further, the process of socialization also includes habits, skills, beliefs and standard of judgment that we learn in the socialization process enable us to become functional member of a society. And to focus upon the other functions of education for socializing the child, I may focus upon to complete the socialization process. Okay, so how education helps, how the functions of education works for complete development of the child and completely make the child to be a social animal, a social being. And further functions of education for socialization is towards formation of social personality, then education for occupational placement, then to transmit the cultural heritage and to bring reformation of attitude. So how we form our attitude and how we reform our attitude as per the need, as per the situation of the society. Now let us focus upon to discuss one aspect of the functions of education. So now let us focus upon functions of education to complete the socialization process. Okay, so here first of all I can say that socialization at home through education, then socialization at school through education, then socialization at community through education, and further I can say that training to practice social and democratic values through education. So these are the functions of education that make the individual child as a complete socialized being, a complete socialized person. Okay, so that is we gather such things. The process of socialization, it starts at the home, and in home we also provide educate, maybe in different form, maybe by nurturing the child, maybe by interacting the child, maybe by training them in right values, in right attitude. But we can say that functions of education for the process of socialization, it starts from education and it starts from the family, and here education acts as a very prominent role. And further socialization at school through education. School is a formal institution, is a subsystem of the society, and in school the students or the young child, they come across many experiences, many observations. So that's why the experiences and observations that further help them to be a good individual, to be a good social individual, to be a productive citizen for the society, who can work substantially for the development of the society. And at the community also, community teaches us many things. When we come across different subsystem of the community, it may be club, it may be library, it may be games and sports. So we also acquire many understanding, we also make ourselves socialized. And for the training to practice social and democratic values, we are a social being and we live in a democratic country. So that's why education also helps the individual to make a complete individual, to make a complete socialized person who practice the right democratic values, equity, equality, cooperation. Okay, so such type of values also we get from education. Further, the other function of education for the formation of social personality. So how to form social personality, just like to understand the society and its culture, it helps us, education helps us to understand the society and the culture that we practice. Further, to understand the diversity in the society, I have already said that we live in a diversified society. We practice many diversified things. It may be language, it may be our culture, it may be our way of living, it may be our custom, it may be our tradition, it may be our occupation. But after all these diversities helps us to live unitedly. So that's why for developing or for forming social personality, we should understand about our diversity and we should appreciate, we should develop that attitude to appreciate our diversity. Further, to prepare the societal culture, to preserve the societal culture, to transmit the societal culture, and at the same time to develop societal culture. First of all, to preserve the culture, to preserve our language, to preserve our practices for the next generation, then to transmit those societal culture from one generation to other generation. Otherwise, the next generation, they will not understand the values of the society, the practices of the society. It is your responsibility, it is your duty. And further, to develop, it is not only to preserve and transmit, rather to bring changes and to develop the societal culture also. So friends, these are the functions of education for the formation of social personality among the individual. And further functions of education for occupational placement, to achieve the economic living, to achieve, you can say, the self-sufficient aim of education. So how it functions, and that is also part of the process of socialization through education. Just like education helps to acquire skills and competencies, it helps for earning livelihood, education helps for empowerment, and at the same time, education helps citizens for a productive role in the society. Try to understand. So these are the certain occupational placement that are the function of education, and it works under the process of socialization. And further functions of education, to transmit cultural heritage, just like to transmit art, music and literature of our culture, to transmit philosophy and spiritualism, the value of spiritualism, the spiritual practice of the culture, to transmit skills and competencies of the culture, and also to transmit beliefs and values from one generation to other generation. And finally, we can also say that formation or reformation of the attitude. So here also there is the function of education, that it helps the child for reformation of the attitude. Just like it helps to develop positive attitude among the children, it helps for the development of attitude of acceptance and to live with cooperation. It helps to develop attitude to achieve unity in diversities, and it also helps to develop attitude of practicing equity and equality. So when there is the concept of diversity, then definitely without practicing equity, without practicing equality, we cannot achieve our aim. We cannot achieve the democratic aim. We cannot achieve the aim of education. So that's why here there is the function of education to bring reformation of attitude among the young child. And here it may be reformation of attitude, it may be other functions. All these functions create a complete individual, complete man, complete person, and further that help them to maintain a conducive life, to maintain a social life, or to develop, you can say, the socialism to live in the society. Now just to recapitulate, I am just going through certain questions, and I think these questions will help you further, for preparing your examination, and at the same time to understand the lesson in a better way. First of all, you might be able to answer the question, that is explain the concept of socialization. What is the meaning, what is the definition of the concept of socialization, and further what are the functions of social institutions. We have already discussed that school, colleges, universities are social institutions, club is a social institution, okay, and our state administration is also a social institution, Panchayat Raj system is also a social institution. So, what are the different functions of these social institutions and how these social institutions help the individual child to be to achieve socialization, okay, and further explain the role of education in the process of socialization, and finally critically analyze the functions of education as the process of socialization. Friends, today we discuss about education and the process of socialization, and in our next lesson we will be discussing the role of different agencies that that helps to achieve socialization or that work in the process of socialization. Thank you.